There are a little bit of shifts.
All right, fine, thank you. Shake your head for the next 3 hours.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm at HCA Market Service. Overwork. I tried to leave that part off, but yes. Too much. Late, run it full. CAIR.
Yeah.
CAIR.
Okay. Yeah. Coordinating like okay.
1863-16.
No, you let me know.
Yeah.
It's a whole long list.
I don't know tonight.
Oh.
No, yeah, I heard that.
He sent me to tell me to do it.
Yes.
Next month.
Oh, I got you. You can just mute it. Okay, I know everyone is still getting some food, but we definitely want to be mindful of time. I know we have a lot to discuss. Good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I had to think for a moment. I want to welcome you to our New York State Black Legislative Task Force stop here in the Great Seven District 52 in the city of Binghamton. Yes. Now, I've been a part of several tour stops, and I have to have some bragging rights with my colleagues because I tell them all the time that although we are small, but we are very mighty in the other B, Binghamton. So I think we should try that again. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to the New York State Black Legislative Task Force stop in Binghamton, New York. So I want to thank everyone for making time to be here this evening. Before I turn it over to our esteemed chair of the New York State Black Legislative Task Force, I just want to do some quick acknowledgements. First, I would like to thank the Community Foundation of South Central New York for sponsoring the food that we have this evening. And thanks to our awesome caterers, Big Zoo's Barbecue and Gifted Elegance Catering Events as well. And of course, I want to thank the entire team here at the library for allowing us to utilize the space this evening. And I also want to acknowledge some additional dignitaries that we have in the room tonight from our area. So I want to acknowledge my esteemed colleague and co-conspirator for all the good things in the Southern Tier, Assemblywoman Donna Lapardo, who is here. Donna and I are in constant conversation and most certainly strategy, but that's another conversation for another time. And I also want to thank Harris Weiss, who is here on behalf of the New York State Department of Labor. He's our regional representative. I also want to thank Binghamton City Council member Kenya Middleton for being here, making time right here. They're going to introduce themselves. So again, I'm going to turn it over to our chair, but I also want to thank our executive director of the task force, Dorcia. Can everybody wave to Dorcia? She's right here. And my staff, thank you all so much for the work you did to make tonight possible. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Assembly Member, esteemed chair, hailing from the BX, also chair of our Women's Legislative Caucus. Please join me in giving a nice warm welcome to Assembly Member Chantel Jackson.
I got too much energy for y'all, I understand. Thank you, Leah Webb. I appreciate you. Thank you, team, for putting this all together. This is a listening tour, so we are here to decrease so you can increase and tell us what's happening in Binghamton and how we can utilize this $30 million to be supportive. We are here, part of the New York State Black Legislative Task Force. I can't believe I almost forgot that. And I need one assignment for you all to do today. Take a look up here, and our contact is here, our social media handles are here. This is where we're going to give you guys updates. We also will send out emails and stuff if you have officially registered. So if you did not register, make sure you fill out that QR code right outside and register. Also follow us on our social media because that's where we're going to be sending out information quickly. Things are happening pretty fast for this pot of money. We didn't know what to expect. When we did our first few tours, we were just all over the place. So now we have a little more information. So hopefully we can answer some questions appropriately, give you a little more information. You guys are probably gonna get first knowledge of it because everybody else is gonna have to wait for that email to come out. So you're here, and I'm grateful that you are here representing all the places that you represent. make sure if you do not know everyone in the room, that you make time to network, socialize, get other contact information. We cannot do this by ourselves. $30 million sounds like a lot if it was just in my pocket, but it's not. It is across the state of New York. And so when you say it like that, and you think about how many millions of people live here, it doesn't come across as a lot. But what's in this room is a lot of resources. And so you may be doing one thing, another person may be doing another, and you guys can be working together. So that's also the purpose of this tour, is to make sure that you guys are networking and knowing each other and what you all do. And so I have the honor of handing this over to my good girlfriend out of Queens. And I heard Queens get the money. Queens get the money. Queens get the money. And so I'm gonna hand it over now. Sorry. Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you very much. I am Assembly Member Alicia Hyman from Queens, and we are willing to share the money. So, because it's for uplifting Black people in the state of New York. I am the new chair of higher education for the New York State Assembly. Let me say something about Donald Lapardo. Okay. She's gangster. Yeah. And she may be, never look at someone and say like, oh, she is effective. I have been on some tours at a Broome community and at Binghamton, and when I found out all the things that she has done for this area of New York, I am in awe of her. So Donna, continue to do that work. And then we got this corner here, my soror, your Senator, Leah Webb. Her history, what she's done in this part of the world, particularly for Binghamton. I'm amazed, and when you get her family too. So, and the history there is just dynamic. And so what the chair, and I gotta give a shout out to our chair from the Bronx. I don't hold that against her. But Chair Jackson has really, when we formed this organization, a short time ago, she took the reins and has done a phenomenal job, so much so they gave her more free work to do, which was to become the chair of the Legislative Women's Caucus. And she's just been on and off and running there. So we are here to listen to you on what the needs are and how this money can help. And I will reiterate what she said. Sometimes you're gonna have to work together to build capacity to get this. Because maybe an organization is a little stronger in one area, and maybe you're a newer organization. But the thing that we like to see is that the information is not kept to yourself, that you share this information. And there's a brother that I don't see, he had been to almost every tour. He's just downstairs, just downstairs. I thought he'd be up here too. But it's a pleasure to be with you all this evening, and please network and stay abreast of the information. Make sure you set your notifications and alerts so that when everything goes live, you are right there to get the information and do the paperwork to make sure you get it done right. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. It is so great to be here in Binghamton. Thank you for having me. My name is Therese Haley, and I'm the president and CEO of the United Way of New York State and 211 New York. And I am one of the lucky fiscal conduits that will be distributing the funding to all of you. I am so glad to see the room so filled. I want to thank you for being here today. As a friendly reminder, this does not mean you're guaranteed funding. This is just that we know you're here and that you're interested. So please take lots of notes, start to make plans, because when that application opens, we really want you to apply. But it means getting your ducks in a row now. And I wanted to give a couple quick shout outs. First of all, the amazing Paula Perna, United Way of Broome County is in the room. Incredible board member of 211, Christella. Stella, wave. I have to say, I would actually not be sitting here if it wasn't for Assemblywoman Donna Lapardo. So thank you so much, Assemblywoman, for all that you do in carrying all of the legislation that we need for funding. I just want to say thank you to the chair, thank you to the elected officials for having us, and I'm so excited to meet you, Garcia, for all you.
Right. So, Therese gave me. Therese gave one of the main asterisks to our paperwork. Just because you showed up does not mean you're guaranteed funding, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this money has to go across the whole state. You all have some frequently asked questions, I believe, in your possession. Yeah. And so a lot of the questions you may have may already be on that document, because what stop is this, number 8?
9.
This is stop number 9. So we've done this 9 times and we've gotten better every single time with the information. There's been a pattern of things that people will ask and make us aware of. And so we want to make sure we put that in that document so that you all can have that in front of you. What else do I need to alert them of? Oh, the time. So you have 3 minutes to ask your question, get your question answered, or make your statement. Because we want to make sure that everyone has the ability to speak. You're going to utilize that mic that's over there, right over there at the front podium, to ask your questions. The fiscal conduits, as you can see, we have 5 of them, and Therese represents just 1 of them. The other ones usually come out to our tours, but wasn't able to make it. When you apply for, your grant process, when you apply for this funding, it'll be to one of the 5, okay? And the different areas of where they're focused on is actually in the frequently asked questions as well. So it shows where we're focused on housing. Where is that? I lost it. I'm sorry.
Housing, education,
Look,
economic development,
they've been doing this. Housing, education, economic development,
nonprofit capacity building,
nonprofit capacity building, civic engagement is somewhere on these sheets.
criminal justice reform,
There we go. Healthcare and
education.
Oh, I got it in front of me. Criminal justice. But either way, so those are the focus areas. So if you do any kind of work in that area, then that's where we want to make sure this money goes to. So I want to open up the floor. We'll answer questions as they come up. That's not on that sheet. So feel free to go to the mic. Dorcia is very tight on time and she's serious about her 3 minutes. All right.
Yes.
That mic right there. It's like class. I'm Carla Mahalik from the League of Women Voters of Vermont County, and I actually don't want money. But since you said criminal justice reform, I thought this would still fit. So we're here today, myself and my colleagues, Sarah and Carl, to implore that you all support the Democracy During Detention Act. We do work in our jail, Broome County Jail, getting detainees registered to vote as long as they're eligible. And what happens then is a mystery. We've worked with Board of Elections, we've worked with the sheriff, but we're still very concerned that they're not actually getting their ballots or learning how to complete the ballot and get them sent. So this bill, if passed, would tighten up all those gaps and would ensure that detainees who are registered to vote, eligible and registered to vote, actually can vote. So we're hoping that all of you lovely people who are here to listen to us would consider supporting that and getting it out of committee and onto the floor for a vote.
Whose bill is it?
Sorry?
Myri's, and who's on the city side?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't bring that
Don't worry.
information.
Let's put a bill number when you get a chance. So I needed the assembly.
Assembly is 8/21/21.
Oh, Latrice. Okay, Walker. Got it. Thank you. Who's next? Don't be shy. So I mean, so we did your Q&A, your frequently asked questions is pretty good. No one has any questions. That means Dorcia did all the work. You ready?
Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Ebony Hutto. I am here representing Binghamton University in New Energy, New York. I work under New Energy, New York as the Associate Director for Equity and Justice. And I work often with MWBEs. So I have a few points that I wanted to just express here today. One, the MWBE program is great, but we find that a lot of small businesses are having a problem with access to capital. I know that you all are familiar with that, it's nothing new. But I just wanted to say that this fund is a way that we might be able to fill in some of those gaps. Another issue that I have with the MWBE program is erasure, right? So when people say MWBE, they mean everybody. They mean white women-owned businesses and Black and minority-owned businesses. And that kind of leads to the erasure, especially of Black women in this industry, because we just get lumped in as MWBE and everybody is as such. And so it would be great if we could do a little PR around that, which is perfect. So the other issue that we're running into with small businesses is that they want to participate in programs like this, especially emerging nonprofits, and they're finding that they need a fiduciary, and they don't have anybody to back them up with that. So maybe this program could also fill in that type of gap. And then lastly, workforce development and training funds. So a lot of small businesses want to participate in free apprenticeships and don't have a pathway or a point of entry. Thank you.
Alright, just on the fiduciary part, we're making an ask of this funding that there be a set aside for groups, smaller groups who have like smaller asks. So they can go through an actual like grant process where you apply and you receive the funding up front as opposed to a reimbursement. Now, listen, they ain't gonna happen with $1 million. You have about $1 million, that's gonna be reimbursed. But say you have a $25,000 ask, a $50,000 ask. We're hoping to put aside some funding so that we can do a grant process also.
So with that said, is that included in the 250,000? Or is that outside?
That is the
So
That is the 250,000.
That is
the
250,000.
Okay. All right, so in the beginning, you mentioned that the funding, oh, I'm sorry. Andra Aziz, Executive Director for the Southern Door Community Land Trust. Our focus is developing permanent affordable housing in Broome County. And so since one of the pillars is set around housing, I'm looking here around the ways it can be spent. So it cannot be spent on renovations, refurbishment, furniture, light fixtures, et cetera. So can you help me understand how, as a housing organization, like how would it have to be through, if I could just get clarity on how it can be used for housing?
housing assistance.
Housing assistance, rental assistance, things like that?
Yes, so housing assistance, rental assistance, it's all operational. It's supposed to be operational funding, not capital.
Not capital.
Operational.
Yeah.
So because it's reimbursement, it gets a little wonky when you're doing the reimbursement and then you try to apply for something else and that's reimbursement. So I guess my question is this. One of the focuses my organization is looking to do is to become HUD certified so that we can provide housing counseling through a lens of lived experience in poverty, et cetera. Increase representation in that work. In our community, there's one organization that does that work, and we want to add to that solution and increase kind of the representation needed so that we're intentional in helping Black and brown families gain access to their first-time home buying opportunity. So we just recently put in an application for CDBG. Of course, you know, we got our fingers crossed, we don't know. Oh, Community Development Block Grant? Okay, so we just recently put the application in for that, but that's also reimbursement. And so I guess the question would be, because this is gonna be reimbursement, for organizations as small as ours, and the ways in which money is flowing, it just makes it more and more difficult. You get access to money, but then you have to go find the money to spend the money, to then find the money to spend the money, and so on. And so just looking for an opportunity to, I guess, break that mold as best as we can.
So what you said we've heard throughout the entire tour, and just being in the legislature, that is a common thread. The difference with this money, and you said it yourself, everything you do the programming part of it, the collaboration that you do costs money. So that's where you have to direct those costs to. And I know it sounds cumbersome when we talk about reimbursable, right? Because you just said you did the CDBG, that's reimbursable. And so you may apply for some of the grant money and then still do the reimbursable part. So in all of your balance sheets and everything that you look at, it could be salaries, it could be programming, it could be because maybe you have to maintain your website, maybe you have to, maybe you need a social media person to make sure it gets out to all of your individuals. Maybe it means paying the cell phone bill for some of your staff because everything's not done 9 to 5, right? It's done because you're going to programs in the evening, on the weekends, doing outreach. Maybe it means your banners or something, your advertising. So it's all of those things that are not accounted for in the day-to-day, it's the day-to-day operations, but it's also, we know this is not a 9 to 5 job, so it could be the weekends and evenings, like I just said. So that's sometimes, it's still all legal, it's still getting your programming information out there, because at the end of the day, you have to pay the lights for whatever facility that you're in. The paper needs, you need paper, you need the copier to work, all of those things still happen, so that's how you have to look at, well, I know I can't do any of the capital part, but I can do all of these other things through this grant to make sure, grant and reimbursable. And so one of the things, I'm sure, and your senator's probably done this one, and your assembly members, the capacity building also, maybe it needs to partner with someone else to get the bigger money. And that way, all your paperwork and so forth is in compliance, it could be done. I hope that helps.
It does, and then I will add just one last thing. Would organizations be able to apply for the track that's reimbursable, but also ask for some of that money that the fiduciaries are setting aside? Okay.
So that's how we sort of get here, we take this back and see like how we can fine tune things. The question is all over the state, it's not just.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add too, as one of the fiscal conduits, we are working together as fiscal conduits because we have heard this. We know how stressful it is. It's stressful for us too, at the idea of fronting money and waiting for reimbursement. So we collectively as fiscal conduits are also working on potential collaborations and ways that we can distribute the money faster. No promises, as you know, this is all part of working with the state, which is amazing for many opportunities, but we also hear boots on the ground, so you talk our days. So know that we're working on it.
Adam Flint with Network for Sustainable Tomorrow. I've got a couple questions, but first I just want to do a couple of shout outs. One is for the last speaker, Hydra Aziz of the Southern Door Community Land Trust. Give her money. We're their fiscal sponsor. They're starting to take off, but they are not at 30,000 feet or anywhere near that. And Hydra needs people, lots more people. I also want to say some very nice things about the work that Ebony Hatto does. She's got a lot of vision around how we can make the trades and manufacturing look less like this. Okay, and so we need that. In terms of my questions, we have a bit of a problem with our utility here, you might be aware. And I'm wondering if a group was working on utility justice, which would involve both education and advocacy. Where does that fit, if anywhere, in these categories? Utility justice. Because here in NYSBLT territory, there are tens of thousands of really pissed off people who are politically unharnessed, other than calling up our representatives here and yelling. Want to get back to me?
No.
Or it's not in?
I don't know that it fits.
It doesn't fit, okay. Then the other thing I wanted to ask about was, obviously we have a bit of a problem with ICE. And so one way to tackle that here, there are some groups doing good work in the jail. And that's certainly a place where this work can be supported, but I'm wondering, what about, rapid response, education, that sort of thing around dealing with ICE, which may also not fit, but I wanted to check.
There are groups that currently do that, but I also want to share that just today, the New York State Attorney General announced that her office has launched a portal to monitor ICE in New York State. And so they're asking for folks to share videos, photos of ICE activity in your respective communities, because they are also working diligently. I know in the legislature, these are conversations we're having and trying to figure out what we can actually do legislatively, because a lot of this 99.9% is federal. But that was just announced today, but there are organizations like, again, if I think about the American Civic Association, hey, Hussein.
Yeah, he's over there.
But there are others as well across the state, but that are working in that particular space.
Okay, great. New York for All, you all know about it. Hopefully we can get that done in a special session. Thank you for coming here.
There's hope for a special session, we'll talk about.
Okay, all right, there is no session. Just
I don't. I'm on the swing right now. Hello, everyone. My name is Shadidra Bratton. Most of you may know me as Keeping It Current, the public figure and podcast of the community, the voice of Binghamton, if you will, from Queens, Jamaica to be exact. So I like to call myself somebody that's on the ground floor, because I still know what's going on in the streets, at the schools, what's going on with our kids. And I find that, there's always grant money floating around. You just gotta reach out and grab it, but specifically targeted toward the youth. And I mean, not small programs like a summer Boys and Girls Club, the AAU basketball team. I'm talking a full-fledged youth drop-in center, a house, somewhere where teens in the Southern Tier, what they do is smoke and drink. And I'm trying to find an outlet that is continuous and always present for me to target these kids and teens. And that money is available, but like we said, like Ebony said, for capital, for things that are larger than the people on the ground floor to understand, we need training. So you can explain to the Simply Queens girl, how do I go about doing this? Because I can't do it on my own. Right now, I run my own podcast, so I'm the CEO, the marketer, the host, et cetera. And it's like, this community is gonna help me, but I need to know how to go about it, The entryway, like Ebony had to say, I know how to, who to ask. There's plenty of people I can ask how to get this money. There's not many people that will show me the process on how to get and in layman terms, simple. So I would like to put a stamp on the youth, and because, they don't get counted out, they just get a little tab, and I'm trying to get a bigger tab for the youth. Like a PAL center, I'm no stranger to PAL in Queens. There's a big PAL center, you know what I mean? We need something of that nature here in the Southern Tier. And that will help ripple the effect of economic and housing and programs and et cetera. But I'm just a ground floor person, and I like remaining there. I don't want to get too inaccessible, because at a certain time you become inaccessible. But I can walk down the block and kids be like, hey, I know you. Hey, you the lady that did this and that in Juneteenth. And because I'm that available person on the ground floor, I can stand on the floor with Leah Webb, and she's gonna talk to me like a regular person, because I have that relationship over time. You know what I mean? But she knows that what I do on the ground floor. Ebony Patson knows what I do. Hadra Aziz knows what I do. We do WWDD for free. We don't ask for money. But if I wanted to turn that into a lifelong program in the Southern Tier after I leave, where would that be stamped at? You know what I mean? So we need money. And I don't know how to go about getting money, but I need money.
Well, I need to get the link to your podcast.
Oh,
So that's first and foremost. Secondly, never just say just on the ground floor.
I like being on the ground floor.
No, I know we use the word just on the ground floor. You are the power. And never forget that. So second thing. Third thing, so actually, I'm so glad you asked about how to get the funding. So we're going to have a application, and the application will have kind of the areas that are focused. Now, what you mentioned actually fits in kind of a couple things, like a couple different categories.
Okay.
So I would say there's no way we can know what you're doing if you don't talk about it. So start prepping verbiage of what you're doing and how it affects all of these different themes. Start thinking of how it blends in. And also, another thing, start thinking of partners, because we want to see multiple applications that have multiple organizations on it too. So see who else you might want to team up with. You mentioned Juneteenth, so maybe a couple organizations you can apply, you can be considered under cultural preservation.
Okay.
But then also what you were saying about the youth also fits under workforce and economic development,
Okay.
including pathways. So it kind of, think about these as guiding lines, but what you're applying for will be able to be displayed through an application.
And mostly, I just want to be clear, mostly what I do is targeted towards youth, but there's always room for, I do a little bit of everything. Someone may call me for a DV situation, just as a public figure or a public advocate. And like Ms. Hines, is that your name? Ms. Hyman, like, I believe Queens, Get the Money, had said, I'm sorry, she had said it takes more than, the 9 to 5, it's the weekend, it's the trainings, it's the up for hours for a toy drive and you don't get paid. It's in your heart, right? So, for example, we've been doing a toy drive for years and we always have to use another building to store toys or to hold money. We need our own building where we don't have to ask, can we get the keys so we can get in there? And I'm sitting with Miss Hydra and I'm like, well, they locked up the ropes. We can't do double Dutch with Didi. It's inside the other church. We need our own space where I can put the own lock and key. But thank you for your time. I love this community and everybody in the chair. And I feel how you like it.
This is a good time for me to This is a good time for me to remind everyone that, yes, the New York State Black Task Force received $30 million in the budget, but the Puerto Rican Hispanic Task Force also received $30 million in the budget, and the AAPI Task Force also received $30 million in the budget. So we're not the only group of folks that are have money that's allocated, and then we want to get outside nonprofits. That's one. And then the other thing is, wherever you are, like whoever's district you live in, Senate and Assembly, they get capital dollars, they get funding that's not attached to this. If you have never made a request for discretionary or capital, then you should. So make sure that you find out who your congressional members. Like I know my congressional member is Richard Torres, so when I have a big project, I go to him for it. If it's a small one, then I may figure it out myself or work with my state senator to get it done. And city council, I don't know about here, my city council gets a lot of money. So make sure you have a one-pager ask for your representatives so that they can also, see if they can fund the projects that you guys are interested in.
Thank you. My name is, well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us all here. My name is Cassandra Carter. I am the CEO and founder of Complex Simple LLC. I am also the director and just pretty much everything for IT Equity Works. I am in the space of tech. I'm originally from Long Island. I came here back in 2006, and I would like to see or get funding for tech education here. The thing is, I know we have Binghamton University, and I know we have a BCC, but the thing about it is people need to be trained and need to get to work immediately. And so what we do at Complex Simple is we train people in the space of IT, IT specialists, we do AI training. We also do training, what they call practical skills. So teaching young kids how to effectively communicate, teach them problem solving skills, troubleshooting skills, all the things that you're gonna need to be relevant in the IT field, especially the AI field. Learning AI tools, learning how to use those tools, and actually having people come and get trained and put them to work immediately. It's great to have Binghamton University and BCC, but it takes 2 years for a 2-year college and 4 years for a 4-year college. And even with that education, you're still not guaranteed to get a job. What with places like what I do, we get you those skills. We work with you on those skills. And we can work with you anywhere between 6 to 9 months and get you working. So I'm not really sure what the procedure or the process is in terms of getting money for this. Basically, what I've been doing everything on my own, from my own money. So from what I get paid on from salary working a job. I'm an IT instructor. I work for a company called Europe United. So I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Over 2,000 kids I've helped get into the IT field and get working. So,
You said you're an LLC, do you have a nonprofit?
I do, yes.
Okay, so good, that's definitely what you would, everyone, you have to be a nonprofit to apply for the funding.
And anyone that's looking for a fiscal sponsor, I am a 501c3. I do have the 501c3 status. So if anyone's looking for a fiscal sponsor, please get in contact with me.
Well, she did, and so I don't know how many of you knew you before you got up and spoke, but this is what we're talking about, the capacity part of it. Because partnering with an organization like hers, like if you don't have a long track record of being a non-profit, having a 501c3, this is someone that you could partner with in order to do that work. And I think what you said is very important, because we do know even when you do get the associate degree, you still have to get the job. So you can get the job and then go to school to get the degree later, right? So at least you have the income to do that. So I think
a lot of people go to school to get the degrees and everything, but they teach the theoretics.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily teach you, okay, if you're in front of an employer says, okay, what is the difference between TCP/IP and UDP?
I don't know what you just said, so yes.
If you can't, or TCP/IP, what's the difference between those protocols? If you can't give them that and you're sitting in front of them, then you're gonna walk out there with them nodding their heads, and they're gonna be looking at the paper like next. So we help you with all of that.
No, that is great. I was gonna also add, as folks are coming up to the mic, to again say who you are, organization, title, but also just a quick check-in. How many folks in the room currently have their own 501c3 by show of hands? Raise them high. Okay, I want us to pay attention to that. How many of you are in the process of applying to become a 501c3? Show of hands. Okay. And then my last question, how many of you in the room may not be a 501c3 or in the process of becoming a 501c3, but you are a small business, you're an LLC? Okay. So the reason why I wanted to pause to do that, I can't stress enough what my colleagues are saying is that we need to make sure folks network with each other, but you also want to make sure that your missions are aligned. And so the categories that the task force came up with in terms of priorities for the funding is based off of issues we are seeing across the state. But I also want to emphasize that as folks are coming up and sharing comments, not only do we want to hear questions, but also ideas you have on priority areas that you see that these funds could go towards. I was just in Buffalo last week, and there was a big resonation around workforce development. I don't want to predetermine what that is for us in our area, but I just wanted to, again, add some additional context and also give another shout out to Dorcia, who is definitely monitoring the time. Okay, all right. So with that being said, our next speaker, thank you.
Hi, I'm Phil Nelson from the STAP Project. We provide financial literacy for Broome County. So how does this work? So I worked in Queens, so hopefully I got some props for that, but I also did FedCap, running their financial counseling in 3rd Avenue, the Bronx, so hopefully we're even. Most of us who know me, I talk about one thing. Broome County has the #2 poverty in New York State. The Bronx is 1. I worked in the Bronx, so when I came here, I saw similarities, and sure enough, we're #2. So I hope that we make sure that we put some dollars into some economics so we can try to eradicate that to a certain point. That's the biggest thing that I would say. You know, my talk is very simple. And the other thing I'll add is very, I remember we all got together in March in Albany, and we sat for Black Advocacy for this to come to fruition. It's just amazing. It's kudos to you guys for really putting that together. and getting this done.
Bringing that up, so that makes me remember one of the points I wanted to make. So what Phil's talking about is our advocacy day that we held in March, and we had a bunch of people get on buses, you know, caravan to Albany, stand on the stairs and talk about how important it is for us to get funding for our nonprofits. Our ask was $50 million, and as you can see, we got 30 million. So then our ask next year should be like $70 million, and then we can get 50. But what's most important is the amount of people that we can get to come and advocate for this funding. We cannot do it alone. It was put together by one of our fiscal conduits, Saida, at Elmcor, along with Dorcia, and I drove them crazy because I said we got a fast turnaround. They had like 21 days to pull it off, and they were able to do it. But you're going to get, because you're part of our mailing system, you're going to get asked to be a part of that advocacy day this year coming up. Because it's important. Yes, leadership is gonna hear from me, they're gonna hear from everyone sitting up here, but they need to know that you guys are impacted, that you guys want this funding, and how good of a job it was drawn down. So we will be asking you to be a part of the next one coming up. And understand that we're currently sitting in a government shutdown, federal shutdown, right? And we know that there are cuts that are coming to New York State. So usually the social services are the first thing that goes when we have to tighten our purse, right? And so you have to keep all that in mind when we're saying we absolutely need people to come out and advocate for us. We're going to be up against everyone else that's asking for funding. So you have to keep that in mind, all right? All right, who's next? Well, let her go, and then you can say one additional thing. Yeah, and then you go after her.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So my name is Sako Valerio. I'm just really a community organizer with Citizen Action, but I do a lot of side jobs. But so I had an idea, and a lot of the advocacy that I do is from my lived experience. So I spent almost all my teenage years as a homeless youth, and just going through different programmings. There was a lot of people like me falling through the cracks. And a lot of the reasons was because they didn't have any real support system, and navigating through like social workers and things like that was very complicated. So I went through an independent living center at the Covenant House in New York City. I lived there for a while. I've been through Streetworks, which was a homeless youth program in New York City as well. And then the saving grace was the Job Corps. So I went to Job Corps and got my trade, driver's license, education, and then I did face like a block at Job Corps because I was a teenager that wasn't emancipated. I couldn't really move on to college, which was the plan. So I still needed information from my parents to get financial aid. So that was a big barrier. So then I heard you can go into the National Guards without parent permission really at 17. So I tried that. But because I had to transition out at a certain time period, it was like cutting close for me to get out. So I had to hone into my survival skills and figure it out, and I landed at Binghamton. So my idea was, I feel like there's a big need for housing, especially the age of 18 to 25. And these are kids that are aging out of foster care systems. These are kids that are maybe transitioning out of Job Corps, or these are kids that are just roaming and don't really have like a real strong support system. And the idea would be like an independent living housing where they would get, well, I would have to connect with everybody in the community, like financial, tech, social workers, mentors and things like that to do programming for them. And like the graduation from that independent living center would have to be like a strong foundation, whether they're moving on to college, whether they're going into the military, whether they have a stable job that would be able to afford them housing stability, not just like kicking them out the program because your 2 years is up. So it would be more of a small, intimate thing because I feel like the small part of it would give more opportunity to like pay attention to those youth that are developing. And then we will put like maybe, I would say I would like to be with the youth for at least 5 years max, to make sure that they set up a strong foundation. And I don't really think there's programs like that. A lot of them are just like, you're in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you're out, and that's not enough time to get anybody stable.
So first of all, thank God for keeping your mind right, that you are here with us. Because some people didn't make it, but God has a plan for you. So the sister over here who came was talking about housing, the sister from Queens over here who talked about this, like you have the plan, and the people in here are gonna help you make the network so that this can be productive. So you've learned a lot, I'm sure, with Citizens Action. So I think it's incumbent upon you now, it's like after today now, what does this look like? Do I need to form a 501c3? And you know, if it's the housing piece, you already have the pieces. You just have to have the network. And so, because I don't know if you raised your hand when we talked about 501c3s, if you have that, then I think that's the first thing. And then getting all the people in here to piece in, and your legislators and your county, like how do we now put the building blocks together? Because when I go to Queens, I know I can go to Elmcore to start a process, and I can tell other people to do that. But up here, you know all the networks, and you have the idea, and you wanna make sure where those cracks are, that your organization that you're gonna work with is gonna be there to catch some of those people. So, and I think, you know, like I know Senator Webb will help you, you know, do the catch-all, because sometimes you see things out there and you don't know how exactly to put the pieces together, but that's why I'm glad that we are having these tours, because your problem is not really unique, it's downstate too. But I don't know where all the people are, but this sister who has a podcast may hit those teams who gets them to you. So that's how we build it so that these cracks no longer exist. So please, you know, we gotta keep checking in and see how you're doing, because we wanna make sure something like this captures those individuals that age out of foster care. And that's not just, you know, it's all over the state and the country. And you know, the current administration, federal administration, cut Job Corps.
Yeah.
Which means it's gonna be more of us teens who fall into that category. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I have you, I'm gonna have you go up to the mic and say your comment, question, and for other folks who are looking to raise questions, please also come up to the mic. Come up to the microphone, we can form a short line. Again, you have a few minutes to.
30 seconds.
Okay, go ahead.
Just wanted everyone to know that, again, my name is Cassandra Carter. I am CEO, founder of Complex Simple. We are also on the ETPL list. So if there's anyone that's unemployed, underemployed, or anything like that, and you're looking for free, if you qualify, free training, please see me. We are on that list. So because we are on that list, all you would need to do is go to your Workforce Development Center, Workforce Development Center, and speak to someone and ask them to pull us from off the list. And then we would be able to kind of get the ball rolling there. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Jennifer Lesko. I'm the president and CEO of the Broome County Urban League. And I've been in this position for 20 years almost. But I just had a quick question. You know, these funds could really, I think, affect a lot of change. One of the things that I've done since I've come into this position, with the support of, you know, our government officials, collaboration is the key. And we've always done, everything I've done has had a collaborative nature and had a lot of partners. With this funding, say you get a phenomenal proposal from the Urban League and 12 other organizations that are collaborating, would there be an opportunity for multi-year funding? Or would this be like a one and done?
Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Oh.
And you're a big fan of the Urban League. The Urban League is actually another one of the fiscal, yes. but we won't there. This is 1 year.
Okay.
But I'm gonna put a plug in for Advocacy Day because we need and want this to be multi-year funding. But to answer your question immediately, the funding that will be available via the application, which will be opening soon, so get ready, that is 1 year funding.
Okay.
That was all we got approved for. But this is why, mobilize,
Right.
you know, spread the word. When that Advocacy Day comes, we would love to have you because the bigger the crowd, the more push that we have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? My name is Mike, as Mike the Barber. I do a lot of haircuts around town. It's mainly for free because I like to give back for the kids. So my question is, and I think you already answered this, but I have a 501c3 pendant. I'm just waiting for that to come back. So
Enter phone number, then touch enter.
Allocated for pendant applications. Like just waiting for it, waiting for it to come back.
If you could, well, first of all, thank you for all you do in haircuts, that's amazing, so thank you for giving back. But to answer your question, if you could partner with a 501c3 that is well established and has been for a while, you can co-apply, but we cannot have you apply if it's pending.
Okay, of course. Okay, and then last question. So when we guys talk about this money, I think having programs and having things are great, but we gotta find ways for the days when the money runs out. We have to have programs that's already established to keep things coming. So I went to school at Mohawk Valley, and one of the things they do is they have a fast track program.
How are you?
And what it does is instead of the whole year.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I couldn't
A
go.
real license,
I
right?
know, that's, Em and I are splitting that tonight, I can't eat a whole lot.
It's a real career. For example, I went up there to fast track and I took my license, I could be a security guard. So did my my friends. And my friends so we all went.
Anniversary?
We all went down and we took the street program. And the program only
Is that November 2nd? Oh, yes.
And
Okay.
we did the 16 hours. Everything was free. And then from that, we went to a small business center and learned the business of a security company. And then we took all of that and then we opened up. When we get the money, maybe we could like get some buses. So there's already programs out there, and Mohawk is only 45 minutes from Portland. So we can get a bus system, and everything is free. It's fast. You sign up. We signed up on a Wednesday. We had class on a Monday. So you sign up so we can get some buses or something, so we can get people to programs that's already established, and then so the money do run out. So many more people have more than a program. They have like a license.
So so I worked for the state education department for 15 years before I ran for office. So I have to say I am a strong believer in certificate programs because just like how you said, you get in the door, you get the job, and look, you opened your own company and you took everyone with you. So that's how you're supposed to do it. So congratulations. To your point, that's something that I'm sure your senator and your assembly member could talk about how you make sure those programs are readily available here. I think Broome does have some continuing education programs, which is what you talked about here. So that's something you talk about with your legislators. But let me ask you a question, with the barbering, are you a licensed barber?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yeah, so.
And you teach too?
Yes.
You Jamaican? You got a lot of jobs.
Everybody said.
I'm Jamaican, I can say that.
I have a barbershop on Robinson. I'm on the first. I'm opening one up. On Laurel.
So I think think with the master, if you're a master barber, you can train barbers and then give them like. Okay, good. You just paying it forward. So we would get legislators to talk about the buses, to go to the other programs that you said at Mohawk.
It's not far from here. But I want to say that a couple of things. One, SUNY Broome definitely has micro-credentialing programs and continuing education programs. Another community college in the district is also TC3, Tompkins Cortland Community College. They also have continuing education and micro-credentialing programs that actually have expanded at both institutions. Also, I would encourage us to think about, I know we have folks here from the Department of Labor. There are programs called on-the-job training where they will give funding to employers to essentially provide a stipend as kind of an apprentice program for employees. So I think that's something else that could be explored. I see Bob in the back from Broome Tiger Workforce, and I most certainly already acknowledge Harris, who's our regional representative from the governor's office for the Department of Labor. So I wanted to lift those things up as other considerations. I think one of the things I'm hearing is that, and I'm looking at Donna, that I know we put out newsletters and things all the time, but we may need to put out in conjunction with, I'm looking at Paula from United Way, even if it's just like a resource guide for nonprofits in the area of kind of like here's like a one-on-one in terms of what's available through workforce offices, what's available through our higher education, our K-12 institutions, to kind of give you all a sense of what infrastructure exists. And I'll just bring it back to this particular grant. As Chair Jackson shared, one of the things that we continue to hear in all the stops is that, and we have incorporated that into this grant, is trying to help folks with who may need some additional supports with capacity building. So I wanted to make sure I lifted that up too. I know we have some more folks that came in the room, but thank you for your questions. It's gonna go to Dorcia, who's moved right over here, and she is on it. All right, perfect.
Hi, my name is Jordan Clemens. I'm the founder of a grassroots revitalization nonprofit called Unbroken Promise Initiative. We've been in since the COVID, since 2020, with really organizing and then pretty much, vertically collaborating with government officials around addressing policy to really address some of the infrastructure needs and the lack of capacity we have, between, well, I'm born in Ithaca, but I also lived here in Binghamton. I see some people that I'm familiar with from the Old Boys and Girls Club, with Troop and On Yvette and all of them. So, I've been in and out, but I went to school here, and, as I've navigated, I see that a lot of the assets community-wise that we had being underserved, I don't really see, when I go through, I don't really see a anchor, for our community, and maybe, someone could help me with that. I've reconnected with some of our elders that are here and, and gotten some kind of understanding around the current climate. But I'm wondering, as far as the monies, what I've been able to experience is, from the grassroots, we were able to put together a comprehensive plan and secure a $7 million grant within 2 years of being incorporated. And that required for myself as well as the community to do a strong inventory of our community, as well as, leadership was important as far as leading, sector and stakeholder leaders within that particular industry to address the gap within our particular community. And so I'm wondering if we're saying that this is a one-time, and one of the things I really stress at this point, 5 years into this, and then, coming post-COVID, and really concerned about the lack of infrastructure, and me and Leah talked about this a couple days ago, seeing a real lack of infrastructure currently in place, despite the fact that there was a lot of money that came from the federal and state government 5 years ago with ARPA, right? And so I'm really concerned, and so I'm just wondering if it's been discussed around how this time around with a new federal administration that's going to be now restricting, so it's gonna be capacity constraints, which I'm hired to do at the state level now to address some of their capacity constraints with funding. I'm concerned at the grassroots level, at the community base, if when you guys do your tour, if that's something that has come up around, anchors in the community, or, who's focused currently on building infrastructure, and again, just locally, what are the priorities of the local government? And do they have alignment with the current state government, as we see a lot of responsibility is now going to fall to the state as far as funding and securing services?
Thank you for founding your organization, Jordan Clemens. I think, so I can only speak for, as these costs and funds are costs are increasing, funds are drying up, everyone is looking to the state, and there's no way the state is able to fill in the gap. That's just a fact. So when the gentleman mentioned a special session, there hasn't been any talk from our speaker about a special session. So we are going into next year's budget, which will increase, because I've been in the assembly for 10 years. The budget has never gone down. When it started, we were like 145 billion. Now we're like at 250 billion. So there will be more, but I think there's going to be a tightening because of the Medicaid and Medicare cuts that are coming. So yes, it is going to affect all of us. But this money is still here. This money has been allocated. So when you talk about subsequent years, that is why we need people to come up and do the advocacy, because the state will try to come up with some of the shortfalls. We haven't even talked about revenue generators in budgets yet on the Senate level or the Assembly level. But what it sounds like to me, and this is where your expertise comes in, is like, where are the other pots of money to help shore up some of this? There are groups that really know how to find those dollars, and that's why we talked about capacity building. But for this county, it is going to take the work of working with your legislators and the organizations in this room to find out how we work together to fill some of those shortfalls. We don't have the answer for you sitting here. I can tell you what we're doing in Queens, but for your county, is work with your legislators to make sure people register to vote and vote. Because if you think that it's tough now, if we don't, it's not political. If we don't do what we need to do for next year, for the midterms, it's gonna be even worse.
Yes, that's
okay?
Why, I'm ready.
So that's part of the advocacy work that comes in here now. So your county is gonna have to work hard, just like Queens County and all the other 62 counties in the state, to talk about how do we make sure the dollars are doing the shortfalls. I don't know what the county budget looks like. And I don't know how many of you receive money from the county, this county here. But those are questions that you're gonna have to continually ask your county legislators and your state legislators, because they're coming home with some bacon. Okay. But it's not the bacon that you're probably accustomed to, because everyone's gonna be dealing with less, right?
Yeah, I heard you just talk about the multi-layered of people who are competing. So from my lens, I'm gonna assume that now things are much more competitive at the state level.
Well, this is new money for organizations. So while it is competitive, this is money we never had before.
Okay.
This $30 million did not exist for groups a year ago. And by the advocacy that comes from all of you coming to Albany, whenever that date is, everybody get on the bus and come. That's where the additional years, because we can't just do 1 year and just drop off. We have to make sure, and I'll tell you this, when the AAPI money came in, it hasn't stopped, because those members and those organizations advocate every year. This is the first time we're doing this. Well, so some of you may have received state money before, but this is the first time it's like earmarked or this just for this sector. So we have to make sure we do the work to keep it coming. I hope that helped. Thanks.
And then I'll also add, as our next speaker comes up too, one of the things that I've been having conversations with different folks across the district is that I'm seeing specifically in our philanthropic spaces that they are actually forming coalitions amongst themselves in trying to provide funding to different organizations, because they've already lost $50,000, $100,000, $500,000
for services that they have provided in our area and beyond for years. So I'm also starting to see philanthropic organizations forming their own coalition and trying to be even more intentional and strategic in where they are also giving their dollars. But just to underscore with my colleague just said, the only way we'll continue to have this particular pot of money is definitely continued advocacy. Because again, we formed the task force, we've been in task force now for like a couple of years. Yeah, just 2 years. But again, the fact that but the issues aren't new. So our Black Legislative Task Force is intentionally centering Black nonprofits because of the data that we know that when you look at disparities and marginalized groups who are being the most affected, whether it's housing, criminal justice, economic development, education, it is BIPOC communities that are on the fringes. And so that's why the other task forces, caucuses have also asked for money, because again, we know it works. When you make strategic, equitable investments in these areas with the folks on the ground, you can see turnaround. So that's why we keep hammering, please make sure you, if you don't follow us on social, do that. If you didn't register, make sure you give us your contact information. And thank you for your question, Jordan. Our next speaker.
Hello, it's me again, Shadidra from Keeping It Current. So I had a question about, I sure did, like I just went in there. New York State Black Legislative Task Force. So you just mentioned that this money was never a lot allocated for. This is new money, which is something I always like to be a part of, something that's new, right? My idea for the New York State Black Legislative Task Force is because there's always people like me from the city that live up here, and there's always appearances, if you will. So you coming from Queens in here, that's an appearance, right? So what I was thinking for the New York State Black Legislative Task Force is like Ms. Valerio said, there's always gaps, and there's adults that slip through cracks, children and teens, right? I like to think of myself as a big resource book, because people hit me up every day, you know where I can get some food at? Do you know where they do notaries at? Do you know? I'm like a big resource book, and I pointed out these same people in this room. Well, she does catering, Mr. Phil does financial literacy, Ebony Hatter works for Energy New York, so I'm able to do that. What I want to do with the Black Task Force is be able to bridge the gap as an ombudsman, if you will. You know, like there's somebody in Queens, there's somebody in upstate New York, and when we have things, we tell them, hey, we're about to have something, just like Citizen Action. Volunteered for the last 7 years, if you will. And with that being said, you know, there's a Citizen Action in New York, there's a Citizen Action in Buffalo. I learned that working with Citizen Action, and I thought I was just a part of grassroots, but Citizen Action has brought real change. I learned a lot. Like Mary Clark used to be like, come to this training right now, sit down and learn it, because you want to be in these spaces, you got to know what you're talking about, right? Right. So even though I'm on the ground floor and I talk like this and I walk like that, I still know what I'm talking about when I say, oh, my 501(c)(3) is pending. My 1099, I'll get that to you. My 990, 1 second. You feel me? So it is, and my job is to, you know, give it to the streets, to the people in layman terms. The dope boy on the street, or the young man that he's not trying to sell drugs anymore. He wants the news simplified. So my job, or my idea for the Black Legislative is, you know, you need an ambassador. It needs to be me. I'm gonna talk to the people around and talk to them. Because every city has a hood, am I right?
You're right, you are exactly right. And I will say this, during the pandemic in Queens, one of our young people, she's not young, but she started the Black Resource Network.
Yeah, Leah Abram.
Leah
See, you see how we bridging the gap?
See, so it's on Facebook, and one of the things that people do, especially for Queens, is they put stuff and so the resources, like you're here, you know that. So
exactly.
And this work, these tour dates are on that. So in every area, there's like a person or a site or a social media account or a podcast where this happens. And we move, you know, I'm from Queens, I'm here today, but we all move around the state. Mm-hmm. And so the networks that we create is what gets this information out. Because there's some people that won't are not here tonight, but you will be able to clue them in
and reach them, right?
When the application drops, and when Right, because you got the email and you know it's time, we're ready to go.
Someone in this room invited me, more than one person in this room invited me, and I appreciate them for letting people on the ground floor be in the big homes.
That's
I
how it works.
appreciate that.
All right.
But my last question, was your Queens location, was that at Roy Wilkins?
No, we did it in Far Rockaway.
Okay. I'm not from Far Rock, but you know, she made it sound.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions, because I know you guys.
Okay, can you just say your name?
My name is Candace Henderson. I'm stay-at-home mom. I'm studying to be a lawgiver. I always wanted to be a lawyer. I always wanted to make my own money. But so I'm like very nosy and stuff. And I just have a couple of questions about I don't criminal justice reform about restraint laws. Maybe you could take some of the money and like train police officers to restraint laws, like to protect the inmates in jail. Cause I come from a lot of police brutality. I'm from downtown Brooklyn, from 4 Dream Projects where they protest everything. And a lot of people get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Trying to explain themselves. They get restrained a little bit too much. Like Trayvon Martin was 2 people died. So like I'm just saying, like, and it has everything to do with employment. It'll take the economy from here and put it up there through protection. So I'm just saying, like, if you just take someone's money and train them to be respectful, like when because I was in county and I went to jail and this correctional officer, I never forget who he is. His leg got cut off, and he took the inmate. The inmate told the inmate to turn around, and I didn't know what the inmate was doing. The inmate didn't do anything to him, and he just started beating the inmate in the head. Yeah, I could hear that inmate head banging off the wall. He was beating him with a club. He was just beating him. Yeah. And I knew I was running in and out of jail as a teenager all my life. So he knew who I was. He felt comfortable. He felt like he knew me on the inside, and he beat an inmate in front of me.
So thank you for sharing. So I would hope that you would use some of the people in this room to talk about exactly how, if it's training, then some of these orgs, if that's something that they're interested in doing.
I don't want to waste somebody because it's like, I feel like if they teach police officers, like, all right, put your hands behind your back. Yo, just because she didn't put her hands behind her back, that would just punch her all in her wrist, boom, boom. Yeah, she go to an autopsy instead of shit. You didn't commit a crime, then they get off. Like, it's like there's a lot of money being wasted. Yeah, it's housing, so many people homeless because they don't even
Right,
they don't
right.
fill out applications. So like favoritism, say, oh, I gave this person a place to stay. That person didn't get a place to stay, and you don't even know who you're talking to, like,
Right, so you live here right now in Binghamton, right, with your family?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to make sure that the system needs help for the issues she brought up. So I just want you, cause we talk about a lot of different things, so we talk about criminal justice, housing, reform, okay. So some of the stuff we can do here tonight, cause some stuff is legislative, and some of the stuff you talk about is like housing. So those are things that, hopefully y'all heard this, and that's something we can help her work with, okay? Thank you.
Again, Bob Murphy, Executive Director of Broome Tiger Workforce, and also from Queens. Yes. Born in Flushing Memorial. So quick thing is I was hoping to silently sit in the back. I was this morning in Albany and at the same conference. But when came out, a lot of the questions that were coming up involved workforce and or jobs and stuff like that. So I just want to say some of the things that are available to anyone with the Oakdale Commons, formerly known as the Oakdale Mall. There we have a Broome Tiger Workforce, and it's also in Tioga County on Route 38. Anyway, I don't know where it's at, but no, we're good. I talk loud enough anyway, I think. But the real challenge of it, and this actually, I thank Senator Webb and the Assembly person, just recently got a $1.2 million grant from OTNA, which is the Office of Temporary Disability Assistance, it's a workforce thing, in which we're have like grants that into like paid internships. And we're looking to marry up companies with, with kids and also kids who have dropped out, from, was it 18 to 20. I was trying to get them to pull it up to 24, which is usually part of youth. Maybe next year I'll succeed at that, but that funding is available. And I'll give you a phone number, 607-778-2136. Ask for Carrie, who's working, she's now working in the office of the DSS. That's with the OTNAs with DSS. It's a great program, it's a new program. We're looking to do that. We're hiring kids within the high schools. We're in all 16 high schools in Broome County. One of the things I could ask, I'm gonna ask you for a little help. One of the things is just trying to penetrate the high schools and the administrations. I think frankly, I sent forward kids through the Binghamton school system. And most of the others, the same thing is, there's a tendency if you're going to Harvard or Yale, there's somebody for you. But we know that from the 11th percentile to the 89th percentile, not so much, and it's easy to fall through the cracks that were just being mentioned before. So the schools have to be pressured to make sure those kids, like around 150 kids every year, who aren't going to go to work, they're not going to college. The graduation rate of the community colleges is very low. It's after 2 years is about 22%. After 4 years is about in the low 30s. So as far as that goes, a great system to have. However, there are a lot of kids who are just going to be left with some debt and the problems that come with that. And workforce is there to get folks jobs along the way. In addition to that, we have a program that's for a factory entry level job training as a pre-apprenticeship for factories. If we have I'm sorry.
The P, give the phone number one more time.
The phone number is 607-778-2136. And perhaps I can kick out a lot better places in Queens.
You can always come back. Thank you. Our next speaker, again, just say your name and organization and where you are located.
My name is Sulamina Burns. I'm the founder of Support My Business 607, which is a grassroots organization I began here in Broome County in 2020 during the height of COVID. I wanted to make sure that there was something in place that would help elevate Black businesses and brown businesses here in Broome County, because obviously whatever affects United States is going to affect people of color even more. The impact was greatly felt. I recognize many faces in this room now that are members of said group, Support Black Business 607. I wanted to thank you all for being here and for hosting this listening session here in Broome County in Binghamton, because this work is very important. As always, the number1 issue facing Black-led initiatives, nonprofits, businesses, LLCs, is capital. That's the #1 issue. So the more we can create direct access to money, because that's really what is needed to sustain different initiatives. I do a lot of my work with the community, either through sponsorship, through funding, through donations, to to bring education. I've done workshops on how to become a nonprofit, on how to get grant funding without a 501c3 even, so that people have access to capital. So that's my main goal. Entrepreneurship is like my lane, and that's what I focus on a great deal, so that people of color can have self-sufficiency. All of the checkpoints that you all are covering, education, economic development, health, these are all the things that are needed in our communities that money needs to be poured into, because there has been a lack of capital in those capacities that directly affects the communities that are being served or underserved, right? So the real conversation is we need money. which we all know that's why we're here. We need money to help support our community. And how do we get that money, and how do we make that pathway as clear and effortless as possible? Because that's always the number one issue, always. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. I wanted to thank you all for being here. We greatly appreciate it. This is very much needed. And I definitely want to support all of you next year when you are advocating for this funding to continue.
Thank you. More questions? This will be the one last question, and we want to give you some additional updates and also allow some time for folks to exchange and network and also continue to grab on the food. Okay, last question.
Okay, sorry. So I really don't have a question, it's more of a statement. I heard you say you was looking for teens and for teens involvement. We're also, so we're also doing the same thing. If anybody here is interested, we are throwing a Halloween party. It's only for teens, it's free. It's at the American Legion. If you guys can help out, that'd be great. We don't have everything we have so far is everything we did. So it don't take a big group, but if you guys want to help out, the Halloween dance is for the teens only. So tell the teens to come out, have some fun.
What is the date and the time?
The Halloween dance is at the American Legion on 76 Main Street from 6 till 9:30, I believe.
And what's the date?
In Binghamton.
No, the date.
It is Halloween, the 31st, American Legion.
October 31st in American Legion.
All the donations are great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Just want to give, I know we had some new folks come in the room, so just a couple like kind of additional updates. So one, I want to again thank all of my colleagues in the legislature for being here and for making the trip here to the Southern Tier. So a couple of things. If you didn't already register, please make sure you leave your phone, email, contact right at the registration desk. Also, follow the task force on social media. It's still on the screen behind us. We do a lot of live updates all the time. We have other stops coming up in Albany, I think Rochester, and Westchester. That's the last stop. The other thing I want to share is that I can't stress enough how important it is for folks in the room. I know a lot of people have shared ideas. Some people didn't share their ideas yet, but that's why we wanted to leave some time for networking. Also, the application will be coming out very shortly, as in within the next probably week. The application to apply will become available. And so that's why we keep imploring everyone to follow us on social and also leave your email so you can join the listserv. Once the application goes live, there will be a very short turnaround to get your application in. So I want to encourage everyone, if you are just in the beginning stages of your idea, now is the time to further contextualize them, write them out, connect with other people, because once the application goes live, it's going to be a very short turnaround because we are anticipating that the decisions will be made by, I think we're looking at December. So that's a very quick turnaround. So again, we want you to make sure that you are, again, signed up and joined the listserv, but mainly making sure your ideas, that you continue to write them out, identify the plan, the budget, even if you're in the early stages. I also want folks to not be dismayed because again, $30 million for the entire state, that although that's a great amount of money, there are a lot of folks who are applying. If you do not get your project idea funded, do not take that denial as a complete delay. It's just a temporary delay. There are other resources available, but again, you just need to do the groundwork and making sure that your idea is not only implementable, it is also sustainable. And so there are other resources that we are will continue to advocate for in the state budget. I also want to encourage folks to make sure that they are tapping in with some of our local resources. As I mentioned, we have the United Way, who's a part of most certainly supporting the task force efforts. I also want to encourage you to make sure, especially I heard a lot of interest in working on supporting youth. I encourage folks to also connect with our local school board members. They are also doing a lot of work in that space, most certainly in addition to the Urban League and other organizations as well. So with that, I want to thank you all. Please make sure you, if you have cards with you, if you don't have cards, but there's a piece of paper, write your contact information down, share with someone else. Again, we'll put the music back on very lowly. Please make sure you network and continue to eat the food. And again, thank you all so much. And we have the room until 7 o'clock. And it is now 6:38. All right, thank you all so much.